Hi, everyone. My name is Ben Opapari, and welcome to the Songwriters on Process podcast. This podcast has been, about 12 years in the making. But first, some history. I started the Songwriters on Process website back in 2010, but when it first started, it was called Writers on Process. There were interviews with writers of all kinds, novelists, playwrights, essayists, poets, short story writers, and the occasional songwriter. The first songwriter I interviewed was Adam Turla from the band Murder by Death. We were backstage at Lincoln Hall in Chicago, and Turla was flat on his back in the green room on a couch, nursing a hurt back with some Jameson as he answered my questions. But he was one hell of an interview. So I soon found that of all writers, songwriters were the most enthusiastic and open to talking about their writing process. Probably because no one or few people ask them about it, and few people treat them as writers, which they are. And that began the transition to Songwriters on Process, a platform dedicated to the writing process of the songwriter. This is what I hope is an intelligent conversation about writing between two writers. I'm based in Washington, D.C., and I'm a writer myself, a former professor with a PhD in English literature, so I've always been interested in the writing process. Now, I know you may be wondering, Ben, if you started this site in 2010, why are you only just now starting this podcast, and where are your over 200 interviews? So here's the deal. For 10 years, I just published transcriptions, text transcriptions of my interviews, and you can read all of them on the Songwriters on Process website at songwritersonprocess.com. But when the pandemic hit, I started doing interviews over Zoom and publishing the videos to the Songwriters on Process YouTube channel, where you can find, I think there's around 40 interviews, video interviews with songwriters as of February 1st, 2022. I decided to start the podcast version because, quite simply, I get emails every day asking about when I'm going to start a podcast. So here we are. In the days ahead, I'll be posting audio from all of those YouTube interviews over the past 2 years, and I'll post all future interviews here too whenever I can. But sometimes artists don't want audio or video, only transcription. So if you want to be sure you're seeing all the interviews, whether they're in text, audio, or video, head over to the Songwriters on Process website at songwritersonprocess.com. All of the interviews will be there. It's free, and there are no ads. So thanks for listening, and stay tuned for interviews with some of the best songwriters. The first interview up is with Britt Daniel of Spoon, where you'll learn how he gets his best writing done on the floor.